You, Dr. Padma. So, as Dr. Padmavati, the chairperson, mentioned, I will be speaking about double vision, non-neurogenic causes, excluding myogenic and other masquerade causes, which my subsequent colleagues will be speaking on. So, I will be speaking about non-neurogenic causes. So, as Dr. Padma had mentioned, we need to make sure whether it's monocular or binocular double vision. We will see the reason. The moment it is binocular, the moment it is monocular, we don't have to do any further neurological workup. Whether it's concomitant or incomitant diplopia, horizontal, vertical or oblique separation, whether it's constant, intermittent or variable. All these will give a clue to the possible diagnosis. Further to the history, the diurnal variation which may suggest myasthenia which my colleague will be speaking on, or thyroid related ophthalmopathy. Any history of previous similar episodes, any history of ocular sinus surgery or a neurosurgery. Ocular surgery also is important, which may suggest the reason for the diplopia. Any history of trauma, other neurological associated symptoms, hemiplegia or oscillopsia. So the first and foremost among this category will be a monocular diplopia. There are two categories: monocular diplopia improving with pinhole and monocular diplopia not improving with pinhole. So the moment we talk about something improving with pinhole, basically what we are talking about is some problem with the refractive medium. So monocular, what is monocular diplopia? The patient says, I close one eye, still I am getting diplopia. I close the other eye, there is concerned eye, there is no diplopia. So when closing one eye still produces diplopia, it is a monocular diplopia and it is not a diplopia of ocular misalignment. So abnormalities of the refractive media is the most commonest. It could be due to high astigmatism. It could be due to corneal astigmatism or a lenticular astigmatism, or any lid lesions pressing on the cornea causing an astigmatism like a chalazion. Even that could cause a monocular diplopia or a blurred vision. Any corneal irregularity like a keratoconus could be the cause of a monocular double vision. Even early lenticular opacities, the patient may complain of multiple lights, polyopia, or even double vision, multiple vision. So all these could be due to manifestations of early cataract due to scattering of the lenticular opacities. So these things have to be ruled out in monocular diplopia. Even a corneal opacity can scatter the light and give rise to a sensation of monocular or a polyopia. So this is a case of a ciliary body tumor for which a large peripheral iridectomy has been done. So a large PA could be the cause of a monocular diplopia, and a large PA even surgically if it is done during for a small pupil during extracapsular cataract extraction could be the cause of a monocular diplopia. So this is a decentered IOL. Which could be the cause of a monocular diplopia. We go from anterior to posterior, we don't miss out any causes like lid lesions, corneal lesions, then lens lesions, iris, lens, decentered IOL, a decentered intraocular crystalline lens. Normal decentered crystalline lens could be the cause of monocular diplopia, one through the phakic part and one through the aphakic part. So apart from these regular causes of monocular diplopia, there could be other retinal pathologies occasionally can give rise to monocular double vision, like maculopathy with distortion of the retina due to accumulation of fluid, due to accumulation of a hemorrhage, or due to a macular traction, a fibrosis in the macular region. All these could be the reason for monocular double vision. Very rarely it could be reasons other than a refractive media, causes of the refractive media. So these are all cerebral causes. It's occasional, very rare, cerebral polyopia, seeing multiple images, or cerebral palinopsia, seeing a persistence of images even after the images gone off. So these are all rare causes of cerebral monocular double vision, but there are certain characteristic features of these monocular double vision which will help us to identify these. These are classically not relieved with pinhole. they can be bilateral monocular diplopia in the sense that this double vision could be seen in both the eyes covered and seen in both the eyes alternately. So it is classically bilateral uniocular diplopia. It could be associated with visual field defects or achromatopsia, cerebral achromatopsia. It could be seen in the recovery stages of a cortical blindness, encephalitis, occasionally multiple sclerosis and tumors. So apart from this, non-neurogenic binocular diplopia, we will start with a case presentation. This is a 19-year-old female presenting with the chief complaints of double vision for near. Please note double vision for near and diminished vision for near only of 5 days duration. The diplopia is binocular, sudden onset, more for near and with horizontal separation of images, and it is constant. There is no variation, no diurnal variation. Past history showed it's a known case of generalized tonic-clonic epilepsy and sodium valproate. No other significant elicitable history of drug intake, personal or family history. The uncorrected visual acuity was 6.6. Near vision was N6 with +2 dioptric sphere. N6 with +2 for a 17-year-old girl, 19-year-old girl. So light reflects, no apparent angle or deviation. The slit lamp examination was essentially normal. His extraocular movement was apparently normal, full in all cases, and there is no other abnormality in the anterior segment. Fundus again was absolutely normal. No dyschromatopsia. Basic neuroophthalmic examination is normal. Central fields is normal, and there is no diplopia in all cases on a regular diplopia charting. However, on testing the muscle balance, near point of convergence is absent. Accommodation is 46 centimeters with +4 diopters. Fusion is almost absent. See a video of this girl. Movements are full. She's advised to focus and yeah. So looking at this, whether there is a central cause of her accommodation weakness, MRI has been done, which is normal. A neurologist's opinion has been sought, possibly a multiple sclerosis. Should we give IV steroid injections? And the old clinicians say whenever you're stuck, go back to the history. And on probing again, she was using this drug, escitalopram 10 mg HS for antipsychotic drug for depression as prescribed by a physician. So this drug has been responsible possibly for her symptoms. So 3 days after stopping the drug, the symptoms disappeared, convergence became normal, and accommodation was normal, fusion was again normal. So non-neurogenic convergence insufficiency, other causes are convergence insufficiency, divergence insufficiency, decompensated forias, prismatic effect of glass. So this is a girl with acute esotropia. In the setting of an acute, late onset acute esotropia, diplopia can occur in 2 settings. In the first type, it occurs after a temporary patching. Temporary patching for any reason, for example a Calasian excision or a corneal foreign body removal, can result in fusion disruption in a pre-existing foria. So when the patch is removed the next day, there is a fusion disruption, and the young children or young adults can go into esotropia. Whereas because the medial rectus, the accommodation is very active in young children, and older adults may go in for exotropia. So this is one cause of double vision in an acute acquired concomitant squint. In type 2, it can be ill-defined, the cause is ill-defined and it occurs without disruption of fusion. It can occur in miscellaneous causes post-surgery, apart from the myogenic causes, post-cataract surgery, long-standing mature cataracts with sensory exotropia can lead to central fusion disruption for a prolonged period of time. So when we do the cataract surgery, these patients can develop diplopia post-operatively. And the another causes, though it's strictly myogenic, it's an anesthetic myotoxicity, mostly to the inferior rectus, and it can lead to post-operatively diplopia. Post-squint surgery diplopia. Any divergent squint with an eccentric fixation, for example, a case of macular toxoplasmosis or an anisometropia, after squint surgery, these are all rare causes, but still we'll have to know about this. Diplopia occurs if the image does not fall on the suppression scoptoma. So if the correction is excess, then the diplopia can occur because image will fall on the seeing part of the retina. So again, after post-squint surgery, for example, in a case of intermittent exotropia, overcorrection can lead to transient or permanent diplopia wherever there is a fusion potential. So in summary, in a diplopia case where there is non-neurogenic, we'll have to first rule out monoocular causes like refractive media, macular lesions, or rarely cerebral polyopias. In binocular causes where the ocular motility is apparently full, we'll have to think of convergence fusion insufficiency, any decompensation of pre-existing fovea to tropias, or any post-cataract and squint surgeries where there has been a fusion disruption. Thank you very much.